So, dito sa set ignition and fuel delivery system, so, explain dito yung mga, syempre yung parts ng throttle body, carburetor, fuel cap, solenoid fuel injection nozzle, vacuum motor, air cleaner, fuel inlet, carburetor, scudder valve, intact fuel filter, fuel injection, so, in fuel tank. So, yung team 1, ito yung paliwanag niya, so ako na mag-explain. So, syempre, objective. Syempre, sa objectives, we have students should na kailangan maintindihan kung ano yung mga dapat natin gawin. Syempre, understand and explain the importance of engine timing, perform how to set timing, perform proper checking and expansion ignition timing, and perform proper checking inspection and fuel delivery system or replacement in fuel delivery system. So, mga objectives makikita nyo naman dito kung ano yung mga dapat sabihin. Sunod is, what is fuel delivery system? Is fuel delivery systems the two-line fuel delivery system returns excess to the tank using a return line. Fuel delivery uses the same line most conventional fuel delivery system include a screener valve at the fuel injection rail to allow a form mechanical pressure. Then, makikita nyo naman dito sa picture kung paano siya i-explain ng mabuti at makikita nyo kung paano siya nangyayari or ginagawa. Next is essential parts of fuel delivery system. The fuel system is critical in storing in your delivery the gasoline or diesel fuel engine needs to run. Think of it as your vascular system with a heart, like fuel pump, fuel lines, filter. A failure in any of these fuel components has in the same devastating effects as in your body. Next, what is the mga part that's needed to be checking, inspect, or conduct replace? Ngayon, papakita ko kung ano yung mga kailangan, kung ano yung mga kailangan dapat gawin. So, what's the problem na yung nakikita nyo sa picture or sa GIF? Syempre, makikita naman natin na nagkakaroon siya ng problema. So, ito yung problem niya. If you're struggling to accelerate, especially on the highway, or you notice others in your car might not can be caused by a partially blocked or clogged fuel line, fuel filter pump, or injector. If your car won't start at all, there are few quick tests you can run to figure out when whether or not is causing your problems. Kitang-kita naman kung ano diba? Kaya dapat pag babiyahe tayo, yung mga accelerate natin pag nasa highway tayo, at kailangan tayo mga may reservang gamit or pampalit para hindi tayo magkaroon ng cause ng problems natin. Next is inspection and checking and replacement. In checking and inspection, we must first identify the proper lip position. So, what's the lip of positions? Like number 3. So, always refer the user or service manual. So, mga kailangan natin dito is fuel line, engine oil drain, engine oil filter, engine oil drain plug. So, ayun lang naman yung mga pagkailangan natin inspection, checking, and replacement. Next is fuel pump. So, what is the fuel pump? Fuel pump naman is makikita natin dito sa picture na to na kung ano yung mga parts na kailangan, di ba? Or ano yung nakapaloob. Siyempre, unahin na natin yung inlet valve, chamber, diaphragm, solenoid, contacts, rod, return spring, and exhaust valve. So, sa fuel pump warning sign method, so here to know when to check the fuel pressure. Siyempre, fuel pump warning sign, and here to know when to check the fuel pressure. So, siyempre, car surging. Next is sometimes is if the gas pedal had been depressed, a vehicle moving along normally at consistent speed, and then it will pick up and surge forward out of nowhere, so which is caused by irregular resistance within the fuel pump motor. So ayun yung car surging. Then sa getting hotter, the temperature of the car can help one to predict a fuel pump emergency. If the heat rises and the car stall, pay attention to your temperature gauge because this may be mean fuel pump motor is having problems. So if this continue to stall out the fuel pump, it is apparently starting to degenerate and needs to be replaced. So ayun yung when to check the fuel pressure, ayun yung dapat natin mga malaman. Kaya makikita nyo naman dito sa picture, tas sa PowerPoint kung ano yung makikita nyo para maintindihan nyo mas mabuti. Next is more gas fill. So what is more gas fill na kailangan natin gawin? So always take notice of the frequency you're fueling of your car. Fuel pumps have a relief valve. If the relief valve is failing to open, more fuel than necessary will flow into engine system. Then, if your vehicle normally gets decent gas, mileage, and then suddenly, because a hog, there could be an emergency under the hood. So, ayun yung kailangan natin sa more gas fill. Next is check fuel pressure gauge. The fuel pressure gauge is illustrate how much fuel is getting to know, and then you can check that gauge while someone else is reviving the car. By the owner manual, you can see how much pressure should be extended. The pump is operating properly. Anything less than, it's a signal that your fuel pump needs immediate attention. So, ayun sa check fuel pressure gauge. Sa pipe is engine can't ignite. So, drivers who fail notice the warning sign above will eventually end up with an engine that refuses to start when a fuel pump completely malfunction, cannot get to the engine upon ignition. If this happens, the engine will crank and rev, but never start. To diagnose a fuel pump malfunction, so check for low pressure in the fuel line and blown the fuse. Next is power loss. So what is power loss, diba? Power loss is put under huge stress when climbing a hill, hauling or hauling heavy cargo. In the situation, the weakening elements of the fuel pump will start to cause a trouble. A pump will unable to keep with the vehicle demands, leading to loss of overall power. Then next is engine sputter at high speed. One of the best indicators of fuel pump failure is found road while driving your car at consistently high speed. If the vehicle suddenly sputters and then resume regular performance, there could be something wrong with the fuel pump. When the pump is struggling to supply a constant stream of fuel engine at proper pressure, so this engine sparring happens. So next is what is the performing an electrical test. So may step by step dito, pag pinaliwanag ko pa kasi mas baka maguluhan pa kayo. So tingnan nyo na lang sa pictures and then sa step by step kung ano yung pagkakasunod para mas kayo ang makaintindi ng mabuti. Yan, step 2. Yan, makikita naman natin, di ba, owner's manual. So, pag nakita nyo to, bakibasa yung mga bullets para mas gets nyo na mabuti kasi pag ako pa na-explain baka medyo may maguluhan lang din tayo parehas, kaya mas makikita nyo kung ano yung tama o mali pag kayo mismo ang bumasa or chumi. Step 3, perform a drop test using a voltmeter. Next, method 2 is perform a fuel pressure test. So sa fuel filter naman ito na makikita natin step by step, so hindi ko na kapapairapan na tingnan nyo na lang ito ng mabuti para kayo ang mas makaintindi ng ayos. Step 2, get a fuel pressure gauge. So pressure gauge is a good useful on makes a model of cars. Step 3, hook the pressure gauge to the fuel pump. Test filtering. So note, different gauges may have a slightly different instruction and the location of the fuel pump varies from vehicle to vehicle, so consult your owner's manual for more specific instruction. So step 4, hub helper, rev the engine while you check the gauge. So note, the pressure should match the specific listed in the repair manual and should increase as your engine is doesn't you need to replace your fuel pump and filter. So next, how to refill the fuel pump. So warning pala, no, pag magre-replace tayo ng fuel pump, use extreme caution when working around gasoline work and in well-ventilated area, and keep electrical equipment and cigarettes far away. Keep its fire extinguisher handy and use safety goggles, gloves, and approved gasoline containers. So, syempre, pag malapit daw tayo sa gasolinahan, kailangan natin mag-ingat lalo na pag maninigarilyo or yung mga nag-i-spark na wire na magkakos ng fire. Kaya dapat malayo tayo or wag natin iwasan natin mangyari or gawin yung mga dapat na hindi naman makakaproblema sa isang gasolinahan. So, we have step by step na makikita natin dito. Kaya, tingnan nyo na lang yung step by step natin para mas mag-gets sila mabuti. Yan, step by step ulit. Nakita naman natin. So, fuel pump replacement. The fuel pump strainer sock should be replaced with a new pump, or the original had defector shield. It should always be excuse me, turn bubbles from blocking the inlet of the pump. So may bullet dyan, pakiba na lang din. So class, fuel storage tank, filler neck, and gas cap. So ano ba yung nakikita nyo sa picture? Okay class, tama yan. So ayan, nasa picture naman nakita natin yung yung fuel tank na syempre parang may butas na, or sa luma na nagkakakrak na nagkakabutas. So what's the ano yung gagawin natin para maayos natin yan? So kailangan natin to na ano tawag diyan? It is called gas cap. Andito. Neck. So warning, take a precaution to prevent risk to your health. Home when you're looking at fuel tank, do not smoke while you perform the work, or fire the vehicle as a prevent combination dangerous from away from the active pilot light. So ayun nga, iwasan tayo sa sigarilyo pag nasa gasolina tayo upang di tayo magkaroon ng cause of problem natin. So fuel tank. A fuel tank is either constructed of steel with a thin planting for compression resistant or polyethylene plastic. So yung mga tools natin, ratchet, 10-meter socket, folded load, old bed sheet, empty 2-liter soda with plastic wrap secured by a rubber band. So, fuel storage tank inspection interval. Check fuel tank for leaks per normal extension. So, sa pressure vacuum, pillar cup, floor pan cut away, spaction dome, pillar tube, fuel tank, cash energy bolt, fuel line, strap, rod, or installation. So, step 1 na makikita natin is raise the vehicle and support on jack stand. Step 2, using flashlight, trace the fuel lines from the tank to the engine. Look for evidence of the leak. Step 3, if you find evidence of fuel dripping from a frame, member, or other structural component, follow that member to discover the source. Step 4, bear in mind the gravity as well. Wind pressure can affect by the watt of rubble and fuel may be running along a series of members before it drops out. So, ito yung pagdaday natin. So, step by step. Alam naman natin yung mga pagdaday or tie-dye na makita natin sa mga damit. Parang gano'n lang din ginagawa. Pero iba-iba tayo ng tools na ginagawa dahil kasi ito sa vehicle, then tayo naman sa mga damit. Pero may step by step dito na mas mababasa nyo kung gusto nyo malinaw. Kasi pag ako parang explain ito, baka magkagulo, baka sa damit maana ko, diba class? So, fuel detectors. Step 1 ulit, diba? So, puro tayo step by step kasi kaya puro to step by step para magkaroon tayo ng maliwanag na paliwanag dito sa mga pinapakita kong mga pictures nito. So, pakibasa lang din step by step para mas matinda natin na mabuti. So, safety concern. So, yung mga safety concern naman natin is kailangan fuel leaks can be very dangerous when left untreated. So, the most obvious danger is the possibility of fire or explosion. But fuel can cause other damage as well. So, both gasoline and diesel will attack the grate rubber in your tires. So, how to remove a fuel tank or removal of fuel tank? Things to remember: make sure you have necessary tools and equipment for tasks. There are many different clamps and connections that may loosen to remove fuel tank. Here are some strap bolts, usually requiring 1 and 2 or 9/16 inch, 1.3 or 1.4 cm, or 12 to 13 or 14 mm of an ended wrench. So, kailangan natin siyempre ng mga tools dito para ma-remove natin yung mga dapat nating i-remove. So, removal of fuel tank. Step 2, locate at vehicle flat surface. Diba? Ay, makikita nyo naman sa picture class kung ano yung mga dapat ipakita at kung bakit ayun yung sinasabi nila. Kaya mas maintindihan nyo. Yan, step 4. Then, step 5. So, next is removing the fuel. Make sure the container you are draining the fuel into large is to hold. Most fuel tanks have 12 to 20 rather gallon, 45 to 4 to 75.7 liter capacity. Then, so if your fuel gauge is working properly, you can estimate the amount of fuel in your tank. So, fuel tank sensor. So, locate the proper adapter for your car drain filler hose. Necessary connect the intake hose from air or hot pump pipe. So, raising the car. So, makikita naman dito ko yung lift your vehicle hoist or jack or chuck the front wheels car making sure it can roll erasing its work underneath. Removal of the tank. Ay, makikita nyo naman class kung ano yung step by step na pinapakita dito kaya hindi kayo mahirapan pag nakita nyo rito. Yan, step 14, 16, 17, and fuel filters. So what is a fuel filter? So a fuel filter is an fuel line screens others and rust particles from the fuel. So how to check the or inspect a fuel filter class? Anyone? So here the step by step class pakibasa na lang ng mabuti at tignan sa picture kung paano para mas maliwanagan tayo kung ano ba yung dapat nating ginagawa. Pag meron tayong paano natin sila i-check. Step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. So next, fuel tank pressure and sensor. How to check and inspect a fuel pressure sensor? So andyan naman class kasi pag binasa ko pa to or paniliwanag ko, mas maguguluhan kayo. Kaya mas mabuti pag nakikita nyo sa picture, makikita nyo naman kung ano, 'di ba? 'Di ba katulad lang naman 'to yung mga parang pag nagpapa-BP tayo ng dugo. Parang ganoon lang din yung pressure ng sensor na nangyayari dito sa gasoline. So, fuel delivery lines and fuel rail. How to inspect fuel? So, fuel delivery lines and fuel rails. So, how to inspect a fuel line leak symptoms and detection. So, on a single line fuel delivery system, a fuel pressure is controlled by an internal non-modulate fuel pressure regulator in the fuel pump module. So, the two-line fuel delivery system returns excess fuel to tank using return line while a single line fuel delivery system use the same line. Next is symptoms of a fuel line leak. So symptoms of fuel line leak. So car seems to be using more fuel than usual. Then you smell a strong gas odor, diba? Excuse me. Pag nagpapagasolina tayo, amoy na amoy natin yung class, yung smell ng gasolina. So according to simple car's answer, car's fuel injection will have a high pressure fuel and lines. This means there's a leak and present in the fuel, so causing a mist vapor which is extremely dangerous especially in exhaust or engine. So in this case, the entire fuel line should be replaced. The leak will also likely cause so in exhaust engine is this cause entire fuel should be replaced. The leak will also like cause strong gasoline odor. So next is how to spot a fuel line leak or how to inspect for leak. So step by step again, no? So step 1, place your vehicle on jacks. So the fuel lines from rear of the car front. Step 2, add a dye to your fuel. So step 3, so kitang-kita naman natin dito. Step by steps naman sila. Tsaka may picture na nagkakaroon, 'di ba? Kaya wala naman tayong problema. Next is fuel pressure regulator. So may GIF dito kung paano yung mangyayari. Tapos andito rin yung sinasabi ng isang tao dito nakalagay sa PowerPoint kung ano mga dapat ginagawa sa fuel pressure regulator. Excuse me. So how to inspect or test fuel pressure regulator? So nakita naman natin na yung sa GIF, 'di ba? Galit na galit yung lalaki kasi bad fuel system pressure can result in difficulty starting your car, less engine forward than normal, or even stalling while the car is running. So if you experience this problem, check your fuel pressure regulator to determine whether it is the source of the problem. If your vehicle is equipped with a fuel system test fault, you can confirm the diagnosis without visiting a mechanic. So again, step by step na naman nandito kung paano ginagawa naman, 'di ba? Kita-kita naman po sa mga picture class. So step 1 picture. So step 2 so next is step 4. Ayun naman yung mga sa pictures, 'di ba? Kaya wala naman problema. kung hindi sasabihin kasi sa pictures pa lang malalaman nyo kung ano yung mga dapat ginagawa sa step na ito. Yan, reattach the vacuum lifting hose back. Next is fuel return line. So system with the fuel return line back to the fuel tank and system that does fuel line. Ayan sa picture kung paano kaya makikita nyo din. So another how to inspect fuel return line. So we have a bullet uh, na kung paano sila i-explain. So the fuel return hose, a fuel is found vehicles equipped with carburetors aside from providing a path of excess fuel to return the tank and before. So note pala, no, usually a fuel return hose is made of fuel resistant rubber, not much different from the rest of the hoses on the fuel system. This leaves accessible to the same wear and regardless hoses experience. So another step by step, no. So dito tayo step by step. Makikita natin kung paano. Sorry pala kung step by step na sinasabi nyo kasi mas may gets nyo talaga pag kayo bumasa tas nababasa nyo sa pictures kung paano ginagawa dito. So, yun lang. Uh, uh, wala na tayo